Now, this system uses augmented reality, specifically the Microsoft HoloLens 2, which is an augmented reality device that doesn't obscure the natural line of sight of the physician, rather digitally inserts the content into the patient's real-world environment.
The concept of bringing X-ray vision to the operating room is almost limitlessly enabling.
You know, as an orthopedic surgeon, I can tell you wearing lead is the most unpleasant thing in the operating room. And just because you can see through bone with an X-ray doesn't mean it's a pleasant experience.
What if we could use these foundational technologies that are moving across medical schools and hospital centers now, this HoloLens technology, to improve some real-time visualization, surgical navigation, and collaboration, even with colleagues that are great distances from the surgical suite, halfway around the world, for example, we can include our collaborators and colleagues. Well, this is an approach and a technology that John Black, who's our next presenter, he believes this is possible, and we're going to hear the pitch now from MediView XR.
My name is John Black. I'm the current acting CEO of MediView, and what I want to demonstrate for you this evening is the Acuity surgical navigation system. Now, this system uses augmented reality, specifically the Microsoft HoloLens 2, which is an augmented reality device that doesn't obscure the natural line of sight of the physician, rather digitally inserts the content into the patient's real-world environment. What the audience will see is how the Acuity surgical navigation system can provide the physician with X-ray vision. What you're seeing is a first-person view as experienced by a physician or interventionalist during a minimally invasive procedure. A critical differentiator that MediView possesses is the ability to fuse real-time imaging in the holographic space. So the intersection of the instrument, the hologram, and the patient become the core competency. MediView has achieved a deep integration with our partner GE to accurately represent the ultrasound beam like a flashlight into the human body. This allows the physician to verify the accuracy of the hologram as registered to the patient by comparing it to real-time imaging, all without using any ionizing radiation. MediView took a physician-centered approach when designing the navigation system. We wanted to understand what were the current limitations of surgical navigation systems and how could these enabling technologies overcome those existing challenges. One game-changing technical capability that Acuity has is the ability to not only navigate to bone, but also understand what soft tissues lie in the pathway to that bone. This capability would allow a physician to avoid a critical structure such as a blood vessel or vital organ while navigating through a joint or the human spine. The technology also represents one of the first fully connected medical devices that is available today. Acuity has the Microsoft Teams platform built within it. This allows for two clinicians to interact in a way that has never been possible before. The remote clinician not only has the ability to see through the eyes of the bedside physician, but they also have the ability to annotate holographically in that patient care environment in a way that's never been possible with technology before. Fundamentally, Acuity has the ability to change what it means to be together. Thank you for taking the time to learn a little bit more about the MediView technology. Currently, the Acuity surgical navigation system is in clinical trials at the Cleveland Clinic with an anticipated FDA submission Q3 of next year. Thank you very much.
What I have to say is one word, 3 letters, wow. And this seems to me to be very patient specific because anatomy does vary. Although it's very common, our bodies are built the same, or similarly, they're not the same. Having said that, can you tell us about what the data is that you're collecting and how you're going to demonstrate that this is safe and effective?
Because we're embedded within the Microsoft platform and we use holographic space, we now have an X, Y, and Z coordinate for everything that happens within the human body during that surgical procedure. We can even model the ablation zones, whether it's microwave or cryoablation, to understand how the therapy is delivered and the adjacent structures and pair that over the long term to outcomes. We've had initial conversations with the technology enablers with Microsoft to not just talk big data, but collect it and have a strategy to analyze it over the long term for any number of medical specialties.
Essential. I think that that really is very important. Now, leveraging off of that database that you are building with the data that you're collecting, can you tell us about how long it takes a surgeon to get comfortable with using this technology? Because, let's say there's the older surgeon, the middle surgeon, and the younger surgeon. Tell us about that.
Dr. Tanzer on this is an innovator. He was actually merged with MediView through Microsoft, where we saw the cross-pollination of ideas. And I think his perspective as a physician who's seen both the more routine or traditional ways of performing surgery would be better apt to answer that question.
Yeah, thanks, John. I guess I'm the older statesman, he's telling you. Surgery has changed, and we've seen it with the robotic top. We know from navigation. This is a technology that allows surgeons to see what's going on without making large incisions, doing it in a minimally invasive fashion. We don't have to leave the OR. We don't have to wear lead. It's done with ultrasound, which is very easy, very friendly. So it really gives you a real-time view of what's going on without having to re-register continuously. And that's why it's a game changer, because it's not just a one-time shot based on preoperative evaluation. It's actually what's going on in the operating room, including the soft tissues, which we couldn't see before.
This technology seems to communicate what I've learned in my 20 years of experience as an officer in the United States Navy: situational awareness of the absolute local environment is essential for success. And it seems that you're providing this for the physician, that deep situational awareness, not just of where the bone is, but what you want to do. Now, John commented a moment ago about cryo ablation as a technology to be used. So are you thinking that this would be used and applied by the interventional pain management physician?
Experiences and ongoing clinical trial at the Cleveland Clinic have been with interventional radiologists, both oncology focused and tumors within the kidney, liver, but also we have orthopedic based, musculoskeletal based interventional radiologists. Because we're embedded within a hospital system and in that ecosystem, we get to hear the real-time opinions of physicians that have not been exposed to augmented reality, and then connections with thought leaders like Dr. Tanzer here allow us to really explore those in real time. We think this is a blue sky, and it really comes down to how fast can we innovate a safe and effective solution and broadcast that to the broader industry.
And I was not planning on going next, but Tony set me up for something, which is he said that his response was 3 letters. Wow. And with all due respect, I have a 3-letter answer. My reaction was sort of, And by that, I mean, I didn't immediately see the application in orthopedics. Do you put orthopedics above all your soft tissue, ablation, oncology applications? How do you think about sequencing and prioritizing that?
Right now, we've built a platform. And if you can navigate soft tissue, which moves, and you can account for that, you can navigate bone. It is fundamentally, from a technology standpoint, a little bit easier. So our registration technique, we look at it as the natural evolution. And to get to that point, we need those thought leaders to tell us those specific indications that we build into our quality management systems. We build into our benchtop testing and then our cadaveric testing if necessary.
Orthopedics is just one venue of the platform. It obviously can be used for purely soft tissue issues, but there are lots of opportunities related not just to arthroplasty, but to trauma, to pediatrics. The neurovascular structures are critical, and seeing through bone without ionizing radiation, without having to have lead on, is really a remarkable game changer.
Comment on how you might position this against things like holosurgical with Surgalign, because they really have a very interesting platform as well.
So when we've looked at the landscape, we do fundamentally think it will be years between companies are competing against each other on a day-to-day basis. Blue ocean, blue sky. So one of the ways that we differentiate is our technique. And this is really part of the origin story. The technique was built with a physician-centered approach. Our registration technique is conservatively less than 1 minute with less than 10 seconds for re-registration. And that real-time component to be able to take the real-time imaging and nudge your hologram to match it very, very seamlessly, that is our critical differentiator.
When I think soft tissues that are at risk during orthopedic procedures, we've talked about vessels and organs, but how about nerves? Can you distinguish nerves with this technology?
Yes, we can. If you can find an acoustic window to locate the nerve, you can really focus in and know where it's at and have a better localization of the nerve at worst. Our primary use case has really been around understanding vasculature transparently.
From a business perspective, you've got to think about how to apply it in terms of generating success. So clearly total joints, knees and hips, spine, those are the big numbers. Do you have a sense today of where you would go first application wise?
I believe we take a dual approach from a clinical research strategy using multiple centers. Dr. Tanzer would lead the approach within the total joint arthroplasty market. And we have a very, very loud voice of customer for anterior or OLIF spine procedures where you can clearly identify the level, you can image the vessels, and it's a safer way to perform that procedure. So those have been the two loudest markets thus far.
Let's try and...
Gentlemen, it's really fascinating technology, and the concept of bringing X-ray vision to the operating room is almost limitlessly enabling. You're bringing potentially an enormous amount of information to the surgeon in the middle of the procedure, and more than they're used to receiving. Is there a concern that they're getting too much? It could be getting too much information. There's a lot of information management that has to occur, which can be very difficult. Have you guys discussed that? Have you had some concern or thoughts about it?
When you need it, it's there and available. And when it becomes distracting or unnecessary, it's not really distracting, it's unnecessary, it can easily be turned off. So it's not something that we would use like you don't need it when you close a wound, for example. You don't need that image the whole time, but there are important parts of the case where it is essential. And for those parts, it would be on. And for the other parts, you can turn it off either by voice command or by head motions or by a control panel. That's a virtual control panel. One of the advantages of this particular lens is that you can actually wear glasses under it as well, which you can't do with all of them. The other thing is you have a peripheral view, so you can wear it under the spacesuit. I wear a spacesuit, and because you have peripheral vision, it's actually very important in the operating room. The other ones are very focal and don't really work very well in the operating room. So.
Audience, now it's time to hear from you. Do you think this is a winner and a game changer, or does this company really need to go back to the drawing board? Well, fantastic. So we've got 75% that think it's a future game changer and could change the standard of care. So congratulations. If anyone has questions and likes to contact MediView XR directly, here's their information. Fantastic. That's how you reach John. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank